very least, I can just ride off that momentum and just get through my set. No, it sucked.
I'm your sister, Imogen.
I'm your brother, Jethro. Welcome back, everyone. How are we?
Hey. Good. I'll answer for everyone. Jethro, what's something that's happened in the last 24 hours that we wouldn't know, or I wouldn't know, unless you told us?
I'm going to do something different here. I'm going to not answer that. Bum, bum, bum. I'm not going to answer it. I'm going to ask you that.
Okay.
We will light the conversation candle, and then I'll tell you my answer.
He's throwing me through a loop today.
Yeah.
All
It's
right.
great. You're going to love it.
Okay.
You might already know. I don't know. So, Imogen, what is something that's happened in the last 24 hours that me and anyone watching this would not know unless you told us?
Well, I did just tell you I found floaty things in my water.
That's pretty gross.
So my thought was immediately after I said that, why did I say that? I shouldn't have said that because I don't have anything to say for this this little segment.
Oh, yeah, I know
so
that.
I had that thought that I shouldn't have said it, but you didn't know I had that thought.
So it can be thoughts now. Okay. That makes it easy. What's something that's happened outside of a thought that you've had that no one would know?
Actually, you might not know this. Yesterday, I went down to a little secret beach. You know which one I'm talking about, at the end of a dirt road.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the only one on the entire beach for about an hour and a half. And I laid under a tree on my 2 towels. And I would recommend that if you're at the beach and you're sunbaking under not sunbaking, but like staying in shade, that you take 2 towels because when the sun moved and my shade moved, I just like hopscotched the towels over each other, and it was so much better than actually having to drag everything that I own on my towel so it wouldn't get too sandy back into the shade.
So you had one towel that you're lying on, one next to you that was spread out.
Yep.
And you just rolled onto that one, then got that towel.
And then put it over the other side. Yeah. It was
and you
great.
just moved along the beach as the shade was.
Yeah, like a leapfrog. It was really cool.
There you go.
So,
okay. I didn't know that.
I will always be taking 2 towels to lie in the shade now.
Have you always been doing that, or is that?
No, I did that yesterday for like the first time.
And do you feel like a genius now?
I do, yeah.
There you go. I think that deserves that you light the conversation candle.
Okie dokie, I'll give you this.
Thank you. Oh, 2 marks. So Imogen's now lighting the candle. First go. We did it first try last time, if anyone saw that. Is that on? Great job. Yeah. Is that your mic? Yeah, it is your mic. There you go.
Thank you. All right, Jethro, the conversation candle is lit. Let's converse.
Let's do it. Now we can converse.
What have you... what's going
What have
on?
you
Okay,
done?
what are we going to talk about?
Last night, I bombed on stage for the first time.
Okay, so for those of you whose first podcast this is, Jethro does stand-up comedy. He is a comedian.
I'm going red.
I kind of think he's funny, but we're about to hear that he's not. So
Yeah, this is not a good case.
tell me everything.
I feel like this is the first time I'm kind of talking about comedy as well. So it's not
Yeah.
I have done great shows.
Yes. And I always say the first show that I saw you do, which was your first actual ever show.
Yeah. My friends came and everything.
Yeah.
And
You had family there, you had friends there. And if I wasn't your sister, I would still say that you were the funniest guy that night.
Thank you.
And funniest girl as well, because there were women who stood up. So you were the funniest out of everyone, Jethro.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
There you go.
But tell me how that's not the case last night.
Yeah, so it didn't go that well. I showed up and I knew about half the people there, and it was in a pub. Sure. It was in a pub.
Like a tavern or something?
It was a tavern / pub. Whatever image is coming to mind, that's probably what it looked like.
Okay.
So I showed up and there was a bit of a crowd, which was great.
Sorry, I was just clocking my floaties in
Oh,
water.
no, it's all good.
Okay.
So I showed up and meet the other comedians. I'm kind of the new person in that crowd, so I know some of them.
Oh, that's good.
So just kind of met some new people. It was great. Kind of sussed out the area. I've never performed there before. The area being the stage and where everything is and what the crowd's looking like. And it was great and not so great because there was a group of 40 people that had put tables together and were having a birthday celebration type thing outside. We were inside. as soon as the comedy started, everyone at that table turned around and death stared the MC. And then within like 5 minutes, they had all left. So they were out. So they weren't part of the show or anything.
Okay.
But because I'm assuming it was someone's birthday and their night was probably coming to an end because they had kids and it was getting kind of late.
Right.
But yeah, within 5 minutes, they left because as comedians, it's obviously through microphones and everything.
Yeah.
It was kind of over talking them and they were trying to talk, whatever. We just got in their way. And so that was kind of the first thing where I was like, all right, that's expected, whatever. And the crowd was great. The crowd was a good crowd. I think I haven't done too many like that.
How many were in the crowd?
I'd probably say like at the most, when it started, probably about 30. And it was a big group of younger people, mainly guys. I think there was only one girl in the group, maybe like 10 or 15. Kind of guys my age, all drinking, mullets. Like
Okay.
one dude was going out smoking joints. He came back high and like he was zoinked, he was gone, he was zooted. And so he was kind of like calling out a little bit through the acts.
So you got some heckles.
I got one.
Okay.
I got one. Almost everyone got not heckled. This guy would just be like, ha! Very sarcastically and then go back to what he's doing, or he would fake laugh really loud.
Okay.
And there was one drunk guy in the beginning at the back that was calling out, but the MC did an amazing job of like shutting that down and he wasn't really a problem for the rest of the show.
How did the MC shut that down?
He was just like, all right, if you're going to heckle anyone, heckle me, because he was the MC, which was really nice of him to say. And he's I only met him the other night, but he's a very kind of seasoned person. And so he was like, he just kind of jabbed back a little bit and was like, oh, just, keep it to
That's good.
yourself. And something along those lines of just like, no,
Just
no.
polite, but stop it, dude.
Yeah, like it
Okay.
didn't ruin the show because it's easy to, I've seen comedians like go off on hecklers and everyone's like, whoa, that was mean.
Yeah.
But this guy handled it like amazingly. And I think the guy got the message and he was just quiet. And he stayed the whole show, but he didn't say anything after that, which was great. That tongue pop. So the first couple of acts, the crowd was a bit rowdy. Like people were kind of half listening, kind of talking. I mean, there's people ordering drinks behind me because it's an open bar in that there's like the crowd and the bar and then where you go get the food.
Yeah.
So there was people walking from outside to inside through the crowd, like next to
Okay.
the stage to get their food, people going up to order drinks that aren't part of the comedy night.
Right.
And so
Very disruptive.
it was very disruptive. It was just very loose, I'd say. And this one guy that was just out of his mind, really nice guy. Like he wasn't heckling, saying anything bad. He was like kind of adding to the show in a way because by the end, all the other comedians were kind of like mentioning him and it was everyone was having fun. Even that guy was having fun. Like no one was really like,
Yeah.
So that was happening. So the first couple of acts, everyone was kind of restless. And then someone went up and did an amazing job. She did great. She was the first person to kind of get consistent laughs, win the crowd over.
Right.
And from that moment on, there was a bit of momentum where everyone's like, okay, like we're listening now.
Right.
And so she did an amazing job. She was fantastic because it was cool to see as someone that's still kind of learning everything, to see that one person in 5 minutes can change the atmosphere of the whole room
Yeah.
and how quickly I can undo it. So she went up, did amazing.
Yeah.
Next guy goes up, does amazing.
Oh, okay.
I go up.
So you're like, you're knocking
Yeah.
over the dominoes that everyone has just set up.
Yeah. And
Okay.
I'm the first half of the night. So
Like the first act of the second half?
first
Or
half of the
first-
night.
okay, sure, first act.
And the intermission was after me. There was one other guy after me, an intermission, and then the second act,
Okay.
where all the other comedians would go.
Yeah.
And so the first couple, kind of rough. She kind of won them over. All right, everyone's in. This next guy does great. He's getting laughs. I go up. I go up, and my first joke works amazingly. Like,
Okay.
it does great.
Yeah.
I say it, everyone's kind of like, oh, yeah.
Can you
Like,
tell me what your first joke was?
the setup is, have you ever done something so dumb that you impress yourself?
Okay.
So I open with that, and everyone's going like, oh, yeah, yeah. I say what I've done that's
Yeah.
done that. You were there that one time when I handed the lady the $5 note and said, keep the change. When I bought $6 worth of snacks. You were there. Oh, I remember you were there with me. I was like,
Yeah.
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 So I just did that, and it was amazing because it was like, all right, I've got these people. This is great.
Yep.
There was this older couple, maybe 60s, maybe 70s, off to my right, and they were like leaning forward into it, just like, oh yeah,
Engaged.
these group of like guys and everything that I thought was gonna be like a problem or like, oh, they were all kind of like, oh yeah, like okay. And then like there was a couple of people over here that were kind of into it and laughing and nodding. Mm-hmm. And then it just tanked. It got so bad because I did my next bit and no one laughed. And I was like, okay, sick. I'll just keep going. And the next bit didn't work. And then the next bit didn't work. And then I tell this kind of more story, maybe a minute long story. And at the very end of it, the punchline doesn't get any laughs.
Oh no.
And I mumble my words. Like, have you ever said anything where you know what you want to say? Like, whatever.
The cat
right?
sat on the mat.
Yeah. And then you go to say that, and then what comes out is just gibberish.
Yes.
And it's like, whoa, what I'm thinking and what I'm saying is just so different.
Disconnected.
Yeah. And I said it like 2 words that was just absolute gibberish. And I was like, ooh, that's not something that can be overlooked. Like, it's not like did he just stumble? It was like oh, that dude just didn't speak just then.
Right.
That was just noise.
Yeah.
And I clocked it because I'm like, that wasn't English. What was that? And as I was thinking, just move on. It's okay. That one guy's just like,
Oh no. Did people laugh at that? At
no,
least
no. Even I was like, oh, even that, which was kind of funny. The timing on it was like spectacular on this guy's behalf.
Yeah.
And
Dude should be a comedian.
yeah, because and I was like, okay, even that didn't get a laugh because I thought that was funny. Like the timing of it,
Yeah.
I thought, okay, is anyone going to like laugh at that? And I will like maybe go off that.
Yeah.
No one laughed at that. And I was like, what's my next bit? Because I lost my train of thought.
Aww.
And you know how you lose your train of thought? It's like, what was it? What was it? What was it?
Yeah, the train literally leaves the station. There is no getting back on it.
This train had left and I was standing there. And instead of saying something, some comedians are like, oh, what was my next? Oh, yeah, this, that. I was like, do I even have a next bit? I was questioning. Like,
Did you say that out loud or were you just standing there silently?
no, I was all thinking this internally. Because I was just like, I was like, it's going to be okay. Just keep going. Because I've performed a lot before
Yeah.
in terms of like music and school and everything. So performing and the kind of feeling, I knew I was going to be okay.
Yeah.
And that was going to be fine-ish. So I was just like, okay, it'll come to me because sometimes when you try and think of it, it kind of makes it harder for yourself, at least for me.
Yeah.
If I'm like, what was it? What was it? Was it? If I find that if I can just be like, oh, okay, my last bit was this, my next bit is that, boom.
Yeah.
And so as I was trying to like go through that, which is only a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
Like it's not he's not talking. It's just like a little break or whatever. Like it's nothing.
An extended pause.
Yeah, which is fine. People do it. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So in that little pause, which might have been a couple of seconds, felt like 30 seconds to me because I was like, what am I doing? And then I looked out at the crowd and everyone, like this older couple especially that were like into it,
Yeah.
sitting back, arms crossed, just like,
Just waiting for you to get off stage.
to have a room like into you and then not be into you, it's an experience. It is kind of funny. Like
Yeah.
I impressed myself because I didn't know I could do that. I didn't know I could turn
You could turn the room around the wrong way.
Yeah, I thought because there was great momentum happening after the last two acts, and I was like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna great. I'm just gonna at the very least I can just ride off that momentum and just get
Yeah.
through my set. No, it sucked. It was.
Well,
and so I find my train of thought,
yeah.
and my last bit's like my best bit, and so I'm kind of excited now. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna win them back. This is gonna be sick. And that tanked as well.
Oh, no.
I said it and I was just like, this is terrible. And I was 3 minutes into it and it's 5 to 7 minutes and everyone did at least 5 minutes.
Yeah.
A couple of people did more 7, a little bit over.
Yeah.
So compared to everyone else, I was up there for like half the time. So everyone knew I was the quickest comedian up and off.
Oh.
And it was because I didn't find a groove. Whatever that is, where it's like, oh, I'm in the moment, cool. I'll go to 1:33, even if they're laughing or not, whatever. For whatever reason, it just, yeah.
Can I ask you this? I know that you've told me over the past few weeks that you've been trying different kinds of comedy. Like you have a different set or you're doing different things each time.
Yeah.
Like, was this something new or is this something that you'd done before?
Something I've done before.
Oh, Jethro. Oh, no.
I know. So, because at the moment, I'm still finding out what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
So there's bits that I've tried and it's like, oh, that works. I'll keep it. And then I still got to fill up 5 minutes. So it's
Yeah.
like, oh, that doesn't really work. What else can I talk about? What else? Until you kind of
Have a collection of things.
have a collection. So turns out I have 3 minutes of a collection. And yeah, so I find my train of thought, I finish off the joke, and I'm like, I've only been up here 3 minutes. This isn't even close to like 4 minutes. Like a solid 4 minutes is acceptable on those type of nights where it's like
Yeah.
a solid 4 minutes is better than a prolonged 5 or 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
I barely got to 3 and I was like, I gotta go. I've dug myself a hole. I am not coming out of this. Because at the same time, people can and like bomb and then save it at the end and then win the crowd over.
But you tried that.
I tried it and it just, did that last bit was my like best bit. And I have other things I could have talked about after that as well.
Yeah.
So I was kind of setting myself up to be like, okay, this is the comeback moment. Mm-hmm. Nah.
What did you
silent.
say before you walked off stage?
Something like, thank you, everyone. That's all. Enjoy your night.
Did they clap?
Very softly.
Because you were leaving.
And the MC, right? The MC, for those who don't know, the MC is a person that runs the night, per se.
They kind of organize the night and keep everyone on track and they introduce the comedians.
They introduce the comedians. They're on stage as kind of the buffer between other comedians to kind of break it up and then reset everyone.
Yep.
And so he was still outside because he was coming in before other people, well, around the 5 minute mark
Yeah.
or 4 minute mark to get up on stage and get ready to take people off and be like, oh, give it up for this person.
Yep.
He was still outside and I was like, thanks, everyone. So I just stood there with the microphone. And I was just like, I'll go put the microphone back. I'll do something. And then he comes running in. I'm like, no, I won't do that. And then he was maybe like 10 meters away from me. And I was just standing there just like, yeah, this is it. My first bomb. And yeah. And then I got off stage and bombing itself wasn't that bad. Like people not laughing.
Yeah.
Like I've done shows to just comedians and like, for example, in a karaoke bar where it's comedians and one lady that's there for the karaoke.
Yeah.
Like that's fine to me, but no one laughs. But everyone's kind of like paying attention and listening.
Yeah.
But this was like they were into it to begin with.
And then they were not.
And it's like that was me. Like that wasn't like in a band where it's like, oh, the drummer did something, like, oh, we can work on that. It was just like, no, that was me. That was like, there's no
Yeah.
shared, oh,
There's no hiding from the fact that
Yeah,
it was all your fault.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I got off stage. I go sit at the back of the room at one of the tables, and this comedian comes up to me. He taps me on the shoulder and just gives me a fist bump.
Oh, that's kind of sweet.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy. I'm going like red as well because this is just like, for me, I kind of find it funny. But yeah, he's a really nice guy that got the fist bump. He's a nice guy, very helpful. I've met him before. And
Has he seen you
he's seen me
act before?
Yeah, it was that act that he saw and was like, yeah, like,
Okay.
yeah, like he's seen me do that bit before.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just didn't work. It's like, I heard a comedian say bombing on stage is like getting, well, I'll say the comedian is Tom Segura, someone who I really like, said it's like getting your heart broken.
Oh.
Because like you want to like make someone feel good and everything. Be like, oh, hey guys, like this is what I have that's like for you. That's like funny. And then for them just to be like,
Nah.
no. Or to be even worse, to like be into it and then see the crowd like not be into it. And it's like, oh, this is me. This is like, this is gnarly.
It's not the whole, it's not, it's not you, it's me. It's you, Jethro.
It's like, don't worry guys, it's all me. And so the MC actually said when I got off stage, he went up, he was like, what did you guys do to him?
Oh.
And I was like, no, that was all me. They were great. It was all me. And I like went up to him and he was like afterwards, because he introduced the next act. He introduced the next act, and while they were going, he came up to me and I was just like, hey, dude, look, I'm so sorry. I only did 3 minutes. And he was like, oh, no, dude, it's all fine. Like, what happened? I was like, oh, look, I've got like 5 minutes worth of material, but it just wasn't working. I was bombing. And he was like, oh, dude, no, that's so fine. Because what comedians tend to do when they're in that situation, if like you can, it's a risk, but you can win back the crowd, as I was saying before, and comedians can do that. I knew I wasn't in the right state of mind to be creative enough to be like, I'm going off script. I'm just going to wing it.
Something else, can I just add into that, is like when you see people trying to win the crowd back and they try so hard, it kind of, if it doesn't work, it turns them off even more.
Oh, yeah, you dig the hole even deeper.
Yeah.
And so I knew that was like a decision. I was like, okay, maybe one day, absolutely, I'll just keep going and see if I can win them over.
Yeah.
But I was just like, first time this is happening, some dude's just been like, and no one's like, and all the other comedians have like been doing great. Everyone did great after me. So anyway, I was just sitting there in the back of the room and this guy fist bumps me, whatever. The night goes on, everyone does well. All the other comedians who have been doing it longer and everything are kind of like doing crowd work with this guy and like the group of guys, whatever, and just crushing it. And I'm just sitting there like, I'm that guy tonight.
Aww.
And the thing for me was bombing was fine because it's gonna happen, but I wasn't prepared for how awkward it is after. Literally how awkward it is to sit in a room full of people that you just bombed in front of, who were into it and then not into it, and then walk past them as you go into your car at the end of the night because no one's like, hey, good job, man. Like,
they were like, that's the dude that bombed.
so I was just walking head down by, like, said goodbye to the other comedians and walking through the crowd. That is so awkward. And it's just like...
Was it embarrassing at all? Because there is a difference between awkward and embarrassing.
It was awkwardly embarrassing.
Okay.
Like, for me, it was awkward because I didn't want to look at anyone. So I was just like,
yeah.
Because I felt awkward.
Yeah.
Because I knew I had just ate it on stage and they just witnessed. Like, there's no hiding that I did a terrible job. Well, I didn't do a terrible job. It was just wasn't the night for whatever reason. Because those bits have worked before.
So it's the crowd, it's the environment, it's the alignment of the stars, it's whatever star sign we're in. Blame it on all that too.
Yeah. The moon's in retrograde or whatever. So I leave and I sit in my car and I'm like, I just need to listen to other comedians talk about bombing on stage. So for the hour and a bit drive home, I just listened to professional comedians talking about their bomb stories.
Yeah.
Which made me feel better.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like sitting and people walking past that, like you kind of look at and it's like, oh yeah, you're the guy that like sucks. And it's like, because I'm no one said that, but that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And so, and there was no hiding it. Like I was the worst that night.
I mean, I think it's really cool that you got in your car and looked up bombing stories of professional comedians who, you know, you aspire to be like and you want to be that professional comedian.
Yeah.
And listen to that. I mean, I was thinking I would have gotten in the car, turned up some like really, really loud Taylor Swift music and just like poured my heart out as the windows were down driving along the highway. But
Yeah, I found it
No, that's
funny
good.
because even the comedians that I was like working with the other night, we're not getting paid. Well, I wasn't getting paid. They were like, "Oh, I bombed last week, whatever." Like
Right.
it just becomes like, "Oh, this."
yeah,
And for me to experience it for the first time, I was like, oh, "I bombed." It was kind of like
it's your first one.
it's my first one. Like, okay,
Yeah.
I survived it. Whatever, cool. Bit awkward, literally afterwards, just being in that environment. It's like getting fired from your job, and then rocking up to work the next day, and everyone's like, "What are you doing?"
Right.
Like getting up on the stage, it's like, "Oh, like we don't want you," and then you still stick around. It's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
So it kind of felt like that. Or you know how?
That's a really cool analogy. Like
yeah.
those really persistent people you see in movies who, and I'm thinking of like, I can't think of a specific example, but you know, real life doco movies
Yeah.
where these people just keep coming back and they keep doing it. And then all of a sudden they're having a movie made about them because, you know, 20 years later, they're the best in their field.
Yeah. Like I learned a lot. There was a lot that I took away from it, and it's made me more excited to do the next one. Even if the next one sucks, I know there's going to be like a learning thing from it. So I learned so much, and yeah.
That's awesome.
I'll put it like this as well. It's kind of like, you know, in shopping centers, how you get those flyers? Those
Yeah.
guys that are like, hey, it's like walking through the shop, someone saying, hey, this. Everyone stops and looks at you, and you have to make everyone in the shopping center laugh. It's kind of that pressure of like,
Right. You have to capture their attention and
Yeah.
keep it and entertain them, or they're going to
yeah,
lean back in their chairs, fold their arms, and politely clap you off stage.
yeah.
Oh,
So, yeah.
that's pretty cool. Something that just came to mind as well was Stephen King. When he started writing, he would collect his rejection papers from publishers and stuff, and he would put them on, I think he had a nail in his study, and he would just put the yellow rejection slips on them, and he would stack up all these rejection slips, and he's like now a household name. So you've got your first bomb under your belt. And
Yeah, and it's documented, so I'll probably see this in a couple of
everybody
years.
knows about it now.
Everyone knows, yeah. So, yeah. So I got home, I bought myself Macca's for a bit of like comfort.
I did notice Mac is on the counter last night.
Yeah, I'm starting to like eat healthy and everything, and
Yeah.
working out and everything now. But I thought,
That's, you just needed Macca's.
I know, I was like, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
like, yeah, yeah. In my mind, it is kind of impressive to like
Turn the room around.
turn, like that lady turned the room around. That was impressive.
And you turned it right back.
And I turned it right back and then made everyone else look good.
Well, I'm
So,
pretty sure everybody else would have been thinking, oh, thank God that wasn't me. And
Yeah.
you're going to have nights where
you're welcome, everyone who was performing that night. Yeah.
you're going to have nights as well where you're like, oh, thank God that wasn't me.
You
So-
already have. Like,
yeah.
I've seen, that's the thing at open mic nights, because it's such like a mixed, usually the crowds, some or most of the time, aren't there to actually see comedy. Like, I did one in Sydney. Yeah, Sydney. And like, people just walked in off the street, walked out, someone else would walk in. And
It's a very fluid crowd.
yeah, and so yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but it's very like,
You can have moments where, you know,
oh yeah,
you're being great and other people aren't.
yeah, like some comedians are just so good at just that. One person will kill it, and then someone else won't, and then it might be like last night where like someone kills it, gets the room around, and someone doesn't, and then there's that night where the first time I did it, where I was like, oh, like I got people laughing, and I did it, like it went well, and then you don't, and then some jokes work and some don't. Like there's no real like formula to it.
Yeah.
It's just like, I hope this works. Like I think it's funny. I think it's great and pretty solid.
And sometimes the crowd won't agree.
Sometimes the crowd won't agree.
Can I ask you this? What do you think is your like what's the mindset behind bombing like that and feeling good about it the next day? Or like feeling kind of, more positive towards it than
Yeah.
not. Like what are you going through in your mind to make that happen?
That it happens to everyone. Like literally listening to the other comedians say, "Oh, I bombed last week," not just like being like, "Oh, okay," but like what that entails was that they were in the exact same position, eating it.
Feeling the same things you're feeling, going through everything that you just went through.
Yeah, and the only thing I wasn't really prepared for was how awkward it is after when you're with the other comedians as well, where they don't want to say, "Hey, good job," or like
Yeah.
it's just a fist bump, and it's like we won't talk about that.
Yeah.
So besides kind of that awkwardness I felt going back to my car, and a little bit of like, wow, I just like I think I'm pretty likable, and to have a crowd not like me at the start and then not like me, I kind of impressed myself because like that's never happened before. That's a new experience, and that kind of made me laugh because it was like, well, now I've done that, like it's
Yeah.
pretty funny. And you listen to like these comedians, like famous comedians that have bombed, and it's like, no way they've bombed before. They're so good. And it just kind of brings a sense of like comfort. And then you listen to comedians talk about open mic nights and how rough they can be. And for me, last night was just one of the nights where I just probably wasn't clicking with the crowd. But it's a very known thing that open mics can be tough in certain environments. Doesn't mean you can't do great and everything. Like people last night did amazing, and I've done pretty well in open mic nights as well.
Yeah.
This just wasn't my crowd. So to answer your question, there's not like everything's gonna be okay. Like it's
Like that is literally the worst thing that could happen, and it happened.
and I'm off stage. I'm now at the back of the room. No one's
no one's thinking about you.
no one's like saying anything to me or anything like that. And like I didn't get booed. Some people get booed off stage and everything.
I was thinking that before. Like, oh, I wonder if he got booed.
No, I didn't get. I just got that one sarcastic, but
Yeah.
that guy was doing it to everyone. So
Yeah.
it was.
He was trying to make you feel included.
Yeah,
It was a pity.
yeah. He ended up being like a really like sweet person. Like the last comedian was like, yeah. So yeah, it's all going to be okay. Like it's not over. Depending how you look at it, like you can be like, oh, that sucked. I never want to feel that again.
Yeah.
Or be like, hey, like I can take a lot from this of like what I can do better for next time. And it's made me more excited to get up again and just kind of getting excited for the next time because now you can
Yeah.
take that on board and you'll be better.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I can't wait to get on stage again because I know I'll do better than that train
Right.
wreck that I made. And so
And you'll have one hell of a story to tell if it does
Yeah.
go worse than that for some reason somehow.
yeah. Like I don't think many people can, like I've performed a lot and everything and it comes very, like I'm pretty comfortable with all the mindsets, being nervous before stage. Like I know it's not the end of the world. And so just doing that enough times, like growing up and everything, be like, okay, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
It sucks. It is a bit like, oh, but that feeling will pass. And what can I do to, I know that's very cliche and everyone's like, oh, that's such a basic answer. It is true though. And I actually find it funny. Like I laugh a lot when I think about it because it's like, it's pretty funny to have
You
like,
turn that room around.
yeah, to be like, I did that. It's not something to be proud of, but it's like, I was in that position. And now anyone that's like, oh, they've bombed, it's like,
I got you, dude.
I got you. It's like
Yeah.
you can't really relate to it unless you have
Been through it.
been through it like that. So that was kind of cool to see. So there's a lot of kind of cool things that came from it.
Yeah.
And I think it's just like trying to be optimistic about it. And
Giving Jethro a fist bump now. You did good, bro.
thank you.
You didn't, but
Well, I didn't.
you're doing good now, turning that mindset
Yeah.
around. Wow.
Whoa.
The wax on the back side of this candle has just decided to like cry,
Yeah.
and it's leaking everywhere.
I would turn it around, but I don't want to risk getting it on your
No.
carpet or anything.
Yeah, not on the carpet. If it went on the table, that'd be fine.
Did it just overflow?
Yeah, it did. I'm glad I put that thing down.
Yeah, it smells nice though. Is that scented?
It is.
There you go. It is.
It is.
It is. So yeah, I just think it's
Well, that's it.
something to laugh at and be like, yeah.
Yeah, no, unless you told us.
Yeah, I was going to tell you last time. I was like, I'll keep it for the podcast and we can talk about that tomorrow. Because it's not just a unique thing to comedians feeling like that. Bombing on stage and having maybe that dynamic is, but
The wax is
It-
just
it's
gone
actually-
onto the table.
is this going to be fused to the table now?
I'll get it off later. It's okay.
All right. So
It
the
smells good.
it does, it's actually like bringing out all the sense.
Yeah. You're right. It's not a unique thing to comedians.
No, it's like being like, as I said, being in public and getting handed. It's like a bit like, oh no, talk to me. It's a bit like that, or like being in an awkward situation. I think everyone and anyone can relate to that, whether it is being on stage and performing or being out in public and just eating it, like
Yeah.
falling over in front of everyone. Or the last podcast where I said I got scared by a bush turkey and was like in front of people. It's just kind of like that feeling ish. That's what I
Yeah.
felt. I was like, oh, it's a bit uncomfortable.
Yep.
But everyone goes through it. It's life. It'll happen again. I'm not the first, won't be the last. And yeah.
That's a pretty good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's not the end of the world.
Yep.
Like, I mean, there's countless of embarrassing or awkward things that I've done that you've probably done, maybe in high school and stuff, like High School Musical. And the High School Musical dance that you did you recorded it for your dance thing and you went around high school and...
Oh, yeah. Dude, I'd finally gotten that out of my memory. Thanks for like dredging that up from my past.
You're welcome. See, that's what it felt like last night. See, now we can like...
Yeah. That feeling of being proud of something and looking back at it and being like, no.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, Jethro.
No, you can stew in that for the next little bit. But
Now I'm going red.
Yeah. So, but I'm sure there's like stories that people watching this will have. And by the way, if anyone's like listening to this, let us know.
Yeah.
Like, what's the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened?
Leave
or
it in the
awkward thing?
comments and share it with everybody like Jethro's just done.
Yeah, because it's...
Embrace your courageous side. Tell us your embarrassing stories.
Yeah, because there'll be a time where you look back on it and it's like funny.
Yeah.
And for me, it is funny now to be like, yeah, that was me. And I know all the other comedians have been through it. And last night was just my night to do it.
Yeah.
And
First one down.
first down, hopefully, first
They
down.
say you'll never forget your first time.
Very memorable. And at least it's recorded now as well.
Documented.
Yeah. And the guy after me, he did great too. So I just made everyone look good. So at the very least,
Yeah. Helping the community.
helping the community. And I'm sure everyone was like, I'm glad I'm not that guy last night. And yeah, that brought people together at least.
Is there anything else that
Yeah.
you want to mention, comment, question? Anything you need to get off your chest? Do you need to go have a cry?
No, I think I've vented everything
Processed it all.
and processed it. And yeah, if you can laugh at it, I think that's the main thing. Because I was in my car, like on my way home, listening to these like comedians that are household names talk about bombing. And I was just laughing because it's like, I've just done that. It's because they talk about it's like terrible. It's like getting your heart broken. And it is. It really is. Like, speaking of this podcast, if you watched the first one, if you haven't, we recently got our long-term relationships
Out of them, yeah.
out of them. And yeah, it's kind of like that. It's kind of like,
That's pretty sucky.
yeah. But when it's great and you do kind of connect with the crowd and take them on that journey, it is.
It's such an experience.
Yeah. So it is worth it, at least to me. I'm sure people will be like, no, it's not worth it. But at least to me, like, it's okay, I've done it. I'm here. It sucked. I'll probably never see any of them again. And, well, I
Yeah.
hope not, because they might be like, hey, it's this guy. Yeah. So, no, I think that's it.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, I literally thought to myself as well the other night, I'm glad Imogen's not here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was thinking that before too. It's like, would I have booed him? I might have booed you.
You probably would, like, it would have been pretty funny if you're like, because, yeah, that was.
I think I would have felt too bad for you in the moment. I would have wanted to, and it definitely would have crossed my mind being,
Yeah.
you know,
Get
that.
off stage. Yeah.
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 You suck.
Yeah.
Not really, but tonight you suck.
That candle's really going for it.
This wax is very interesting. Half of it's now solidified.
It's like that's a pretty big flame as well, because it's like
Yeah.
tilted over now. Is there anything you would like in terms of just awkward situations or something that you're just like, oh, I'm not too proud of that?
Oh, well, now that you mentioned that High School Musical thing, I might
Yeah.
just give like a brief story on that.
I think a lot of people relate to that. Yeah.
I used to like High School Musical a lot. And you know that song from the second High School Musical movie where Troy Bolton sings Bet on It on the golf course? Well, for I think it was grade 12, we had
Grade 12. Grade 12. How old are you in grade 12?
like 16 or 17.
Old enough to.
Old enough to know better. Anyway, for grade 12 dance assignment, we had to like do it outdoors. We had to like use different environments to create our choreography. And I was like, I'm going to do a solo. I so wish I didn't. And I'm going to do Bet on It from High School Musical. And I so wish I didn't. Because I just remember being so serious about it. Like, I loved it at the moment in the time, which is great. Looking back on it now, I kind of wish I had spent that last assignment doing it with my friends. But I just remember being so into it and being so serious about it. And when I watched everybody else's performances and everyone else's routines, I was like, I felt really embarrassed. And I just thought, you know, that kind of sucked. And
Because you took it so seriously.
because I wanted to do a solo and be, you know,
Yeah.
I wanted it to be awesome and amazing. And then seeing everybody else's that were better, I was just like, oh, okay. So I kind of I had completely forgotten about that. Thank you. Until right now.
You're welcome.
But I mean, in the moment, I was proud of it, and I'm glad I don't know. Am I glad I did it? No. I kind of wish that I did that last assignment with my two girlfriends at the time, because that would have been a nicer memory to have. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Now you got a story that you can tell in front of people. Well, if you think about it like this, you're still doing dancing.
Yeah.
And you're probably better than all these other dancers because you've stuck with it and you're now
A lot
crushing
of them
it.
haven't. Yeah.
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 So, speaking of bombing, like doing it, you've done that, and now what you're doing now is fantastic, and it's
Yeah. Doing my teaching and
Yeah.
my I actually got paid. So
must be nice. For what?
So last Friday, so it was about a week, just over a week ago now, I performed at a like a party. It was kind of like a nightclub scene, but throughout the night they'd put out fairy lights on the floor, and everybody would sit around them and create like a little fake stage, and then we'd have these acts that come up, and everybody just kind of like sat and appreciated the artistry and the acts and stuff. And I was the first one up. I got to open the show, and I'd only had like a week and a half to prepare for this, and I loved it. They were like, oh, we can't pay you, you know, it'll just, but we'll promote you, and we'll, you know, mention your classes that you teach and stuff. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. I want a chance to perform, because I'm quite introverted naturally, but I have this show pony inside me that just loves being the center of attention for like, I think this was like 4.5 minute routine. And yes, I got up and I did my dance, and everybody loved it. And I was like making eye contact with like people in the crowd and getting right up in their faces and really hyping everyone up. It was fantastic. And anyway, a couple of days later, first of all, the organizers, they were really happy with it, which I was really, really glad because I was like, oh, I don't know if it's like the right vibe for them, but they said, oh, that was incredible. And I said, well, keep me in mind for next time. And then, a couple of days later, the lady's like, oh, send me an invoice for your performance. And I was like, I'm not going to say no to that. So I have now officially been paid as a performer, and that makes me feel like a professional. Like,
Yeah.
that's my definition of a professional, is getting paid to do it.
Yeah.
So that was like I did it for free because
Yeah.
I got paid, but like I initially did it for free because I love it. But yeah, that was really cool.
How much did you ask for? Like, how did you decide how much to invoice them?
She told me how much to invoice her for.
Oh.
And I was like, yeah, that's cool. That's better than nothing. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's so cool.
It was good. So
It's a good fist bump.
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So that was really cool.
Two very different
experiences.
Yeah, but that's great. Do you think you'll do more like that?
If I got the chance, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a difference between competing and performing. For me, there's a lot of stress that comes with competing and a lot of comparison that I've been trying to work on over the last few years. It's not very... if you're not in the right if I'm not in the right mindset, I can find it's a very unhealthy environment for me to be in. Whereas this performing was just like, all right, they just want me to do a dance and I'm just going to get up and...
Yeah, just show up, rock out.
Show up, show off and...
Get paid.
It was awesome.
There you go.
So, yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Proud of you, dude.
Thank you. All right, well... The conversation candle is looking a bit...
Oh my god, it's like inverted now, yeah.
I don't know if you guys in the video can see that. I'm not going to touch it because
it's
fire.
all gone on the tail and everything. It's
I
just...
wonder if we can like turn it around.
Ooh.
There we go. It's wax.
Yeah, it's all just come off onto...
The quote, small things amuse small minds, just crossed my mind.
What's the quote?
Small things amuse small minds.
Small things amuse small minds. Oh.
Yeah. Or simple things amuse simple minds or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go. Does that mean we have simple minds? Because that's pretty...
I mean, I'm going to play with it after this. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching. And
We'll catch you next time.
We'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.